Hello friends, I'm just in the shed this morning and I would like to show you my borlotti beans. Now I picked these last week. There they are in their lovely sort of stripy red and white pods. And I did notice that if you pick them and then take them out of the pod straight away, they're still just kind of a green colour, and that might have been just because I picked them a little too early, or it might have been because you do in fact need to leave them to dry a little bit before they turn into the colours, those wonderful colours that we recognise as borlotti beans, with the kind of reddy brown specks on them. So this morning I've been taking them out of their pods. They've been drying on the shelf here for about a week, and now they're ready to harvest. Now there's not been a huge amount, that's most of them. There might be a few more to pick today, but it's not an enormous harvest because I didn't really plant very many. But out of those I've got, you get 4 or 5 beans in each pod, so I'll have a good supply to plant some more next year. So 1 packet of beans has become effectively 2 or 3, which is nice. I love all that. That's really all I have to say on the subject. Let's take a look at those again. They are beautiful, aren't they? I think we should spend a few moments just admiring those colours and patterns. Magnificent. Okay, there we go. There's all my beans harvested. I collected all the pods there. I'll talk about those in a second. But yeah, a nice little harvest of beans. Look at those ones. There was one pod where they'd gone almost entirely red, like kidney bean colour, a little bit lighter, but still with the little white specks. Mostly they look like that. Kind of like tiny exotic bird eggs. But they're not eggs, they're beans. Anyway, feeling quite pleased with that. So I'm going to take the pods now and return them to the soil, compost them in this bed where I've been trying to mulch and just cover with cardboard and wood to keep the weeds at bay and produce a bit more soil. And I'll just return these pods to there now. More compost, lovely stuff. What I'm thinking of doing next year is, this bed was where I grew some beans and some peas, so those are legumes, I think, this year, as well as other things at this end, like my Jerusalem artichokes and squash. And then this bed here, although it seems to be dominated by borage now and nasturtiums, was mostly onions with some herbs down this end. So you're supposed to do things in kind of a cycle of 3 years or so, I've been reading, and it goes alliums, brassicas, legumes, in that order. So onions are alliums, I've had them in this bed this year, and these are purple sprouting broccoli that I've put in for next year to overwinter, so those are brassicas. And then here is where I've had legumes, so next in the cycle will be alliums again. So my onions and garlic I'm going to put in here for next year, and I'll be planting some of the garlic in the autumn. But I thought I might just try interspersing those with a few little patches of beans as well, because those are the yin yang beans over there, and the borlotti beans that I've grown as well, they're the dwarf variety, which is why my Three Sisters project over here, that I'll talk about in a second, didn't work so well, because because they're not climbing beans, they're dwarf beans. So I'm just going to have kind of some dwarf beans around the edges here and see how they do growing amongst the alliums, the onions and the garlic. That's my thought. So over here was what was supposed to be the kind of Three Sisters project, but hasn't been. I guess it's been, I mean it has. Obviously you've got sweet corn here, squash, and down here there's a few more beans, as you can see. But you're supposed to grow the beans to climb up the sweet corn, which obviously dwarf beans aren't going to do, and then have squash as your ground cover. So I need to plan that a little bit more carefully if I'm going to do that again. But I think anyway I'm probably going to have potatoes in this area next year. 4 potato towers inside this square. That's about sort of 4 foot by 4 foot. I had 1 potato tower here, which I knocked over. You can see that in a previous video. And now this is my raspberry plant that I've put in its place. Just taken from a cutting from my neighbour. So this area is becoming kind of like a fruit patch, because this is the blackcurrant bush. I put some strawberries around the edge here, and these were the cuttings from the main parent blackcurrant bush that I took in January that have rooted. We've got 1, 2, 3, so I'm extending my blackcurrant empire as well. All looking good. Couple of squash. There's one, and there was another in the corner over here, and wow, look at that. That's the mystery fungus. That seems to have something to do with all the glistening ink caps that grow here, and I might start see sprouting quite soon in this area. But I first noticed that about this time last year, and then not long afterwards this area was covered in glistening ink cap mushrooms once all the green had started to die away and rot down a bit in about October, November. So looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm so easily distracted. There's another squash. Quite small but perfectly formed. And there's another one that's just been pollinated, I suppose. So, I don't know about this patch really. I mean, finally got some actual sweet corn on it, but it's getting into the 2nd week of September now, so I'm not sure I'm going to get more than really baby sweet corn out of that. But it's better than nothing.